5-phase functional rehab progression for a Colles fracture. This rehab program will begin with Phase 1, which goals are protection, initiate healing, and limit disuse. Components include non to limited weight bearing, support mobilization and repair, pain control, range of motion, isometrics, appropriate modalities, and rest of the body conditioning. During Phase 1, to increase range of motion, athlete will stabilize wrist on table with opposite hand and do active flexion and extension as pain allows. As athlete progresses through Phase 1, you can introduce active supination and pronation. Slow and controlled, each motion 10 times for 3 sets. In Phase 1, athlete will perform towel wringing out to increase range of motion in flexion and extension, as well as add light resistance and improve intrinsic and grip strength. Athlete will do wring outs for 30 seconds 3 times. Athlete will perform web grip strengthening for 30 seconds 3 times to increase intrinsic strength and grip strength. Athlete will stabilize forearm and wrist on table while performing gripping. In Phase 1, the athlete can perform active range of motion exercises as well as intrinsic and motor control with foam pickups, taking 10 pieces of foam from one side of the table, placing it over the other, doing this 3 times while stabilizing forearm. Throughout the rehab progression, it is important to maintain elbow and shoulder strength and range of motion. In Phase 1, athlete can perform scapular retraction with internal and external rotation, weight applied on proximal humerus to avoid a shearing force at the radius. Athlete will perform this exercise 10 times for 3 sets. Phase 2 goals include increasing range of motion, early strengthening, and increasing weight bearing. Components include continue Phase 1, PREs and safe plans, push range of motion and safe plans. During Phase 2, athlete will perform light resistive range of motions for flexion and extension, wrist radial deviation, ulnar deviation, pronation, and supination, each 10 times as a circuit, and the circuit will be performed 3 times. Athlete will perform in Phase 2 flexion and extension in rice bucket for increased resistance, as well as pronation and supination rotations of the wrist, each for 30 seconds for 5 times. During Phase 2, athlete will perform seated weight shifts to introduce weight bearing through the wrist. They will begin with seated weight shifts. They can progress to standing weight shifts so that more weight can be put through the wrist, and further progress to kneeling weight shifts to increase weight through the wrist, increasing range of motion, strength, and introducing weight bearing. Athlete will perform weight shifts 10 onto each side 3 times during seated, standing, and kneeling. To incorporate bicep concentric strengthening and tricep eccentric strengthening and elbow motion during Phase 2, athlete will perform 3-way bicep curls with hand in pronated position, supinated position, and neutral position, Each curl 10 times for 3 sets. To incorporate shoulder and elbow range of motions as well as wrist flexion and extension and introducing weight bearing, athlete will be asked to perform push-up pluses on the wall to also incorporate serratus strengthening as well. Athlete will do 15 push-ups, 3 sets. In phase 2, athlete can perform dribbling drills with a physio ball for increased range of motion for flexion and extension in both the elbow and the wrist, beginning with alternating hands going to just the injured side. As exercise becomes easier, move to smaller ball. This athlete will perform dribbles for 2 minutes to also increase muscular endurance 3 times. Phase 3. The goals in this phase include basic function, neuromuscular proprioceptive training, and strength development. Components include increased weight bearing to full weight bearing, continue phase 2, active range of motion in all planes to full, isotonic exercises in full range of motion, neuromuscular training, and proprioceptive training. For increased proprioception of shoulder, elbow, and wrist joint, athlete will be asked to perform external and internal rotations onto trampoline with weighted ball. This will help increase strength and endurance of the shoulder, elbow, and wrist joints. The athlete will perform internal external rotations 15 times, 3 sets. In phase 3, athlete will perform mini push-ups on the Bosu ball to increase core strengthening as well as closed kinetic chain weight bearing and strengthening through the wrist and complete arm. Athlete will do 15 push-ups for 3 sets. During phase 3, athlete will perform UBE exercises for 20 minutes 4 times a week to increase endurance as well as range of motion and strengthening in the biceps and triceps group as well as wrist flexors and extensors. During phase 3, athlete will perform side planks with straight arms to increase proprioception through the wrist and shoulder joints, incorporating glenohumeral activity. They'll also be asked to do bow and arrows through to increase oblique strengthening as well as weight-bearing closed kinetic through the wrist joint. For increased proprioception through the wrist and shoulder joints, athlete will perform dynamic stabilization for 30 seconds 3 times. Phase 4 goals. Full ordinary function and strength, restore neuromuscular function and developing power. Components include continuing phase 3, isokinetic, skill, flexibility, high speed, and high resistance training, plyometric training, and limited practice. During phase 4, athlete will be asked to perform chest passes 10 times for 3 sets with the medicine ball. The medicine ball can be increased for weight depending on strength and endurance. Lateral straight arm pops can be used to increase core strengthening as well as power and closed kinetic chain. 20 hops to each side 3 times. During phase 4, athlete will perform standing Bosu ball tugs with athletic trainer to increase core stability and strengthening, scap stabilizers, shoulder strengthening, as well as grip and wrist strengthening. The athlete will perform this exercise for 30 seconds for 3 sets. For increased strength in the closed kinetic chain, in phase 4, athlete will be asked to do basketball or soccer ball push-ups to increase core strength and stability as well. Athlete will do max reps 3 times with 2-minute break in between. In stage 4, athlete will perform kettlebell swings 3 sets of 15 to increase power and strength of scap stabilizers, arms, as well as grip strength, endurance, and lower body. To increase strength in the closed kinetic chain as well as core strength, athlete will go into push-up position on the bongo board and try to move laterally 10 times in each direction for 5 sets. The last phase of this rehab progression is phase 5. Goals include full extraordinary function, full return to activity. Components include performance training, gradual return to full practice, and maintenance program. Power cleans can be performed for full body strengthening at sub-max weight 2 times a week for 6 to 8 reps, 3 sets, max weight once a week, 1 to 2 reps, 3 sets. To increase anterior strength, athlete will continue to progress bench pressing, sub-max to maximum weight in phase 5. Sub-max will be performed 6 to 8 reps for 3 sets, twice a week. Maximum weight will be performed 1 to 2 reps, 3 times, once per week. In phase 5, athlete will perform row with back extension for increased strength in scapular stability as well as back. Athlete will use a kettlebell and do 8 reps, 3 sets. For increased strengthening and endurance, as well as incorporating the core, athlete will perform push-up position obstacle courses to also put body weight into closed kinetic chain. Athlete can also do push-up between each stage of obstacle course to increase difficulty. This obstacle course will be completed 3 times through, with 1-minute breaks in between. Athletes should complete course in less time with progression, as well as weighted belt can be added to increase difficulty. During phase 5 for functional activity for the linebacker, they will do lateral shuffles with medicine ball chest pass for increased power and agility. They'll do this for 1 minute and increased time each session, 5 sets.